So following last week's mostly better than expected preliminary manufacturing and services PMIs, this week is set to get a whole lot busier. Starts off with some low impacting items, sentiment figures for the US and Germany, as well as durables later today for the US, but then it starts to pick up on Wednesday. And we're not just talking about EIA's oil inventories reading, which as of late has been quite mixed, nor trade and housing data for the US, which no doubt will be noted, but it's the US Federal Reserve's monetary policy announcement with expectations for no change in its current string of monetary stimulus programs. There's also tech CEOs expected to testify before the House Judiciary Antitrust Subcommittee regarding their market dominance. On Thursday, it's preliminary CPI and GDP figures for the Eurozone's manufacturing powerhouse, Germany. GDP, or gross domestic product, that's really the one to be on the lookout for, with expectations for a significant drop, but nowhere near as harsh as that of the US, whereby it's expected to post a double-digit percentage contractionary reading. And there's also the usual unemployment claims, which time and again has failed to drop below 1 million. On Friday, it's going to be the Eurozone's turn to release its preliminary CPI and GDP figures, but early on it could get quite busy during the Asian session, because we've got Chinese PMIs out of CFLP, as well as a string of Japanese data, which will include unemployment. For the US, there's going to be some personal spending and income data, as well as for oil traders, Baker Hughes oil rig count, which finally, when it comes to US active oil rigs, after 19 consecutive drops, we finally got an increase. It increased by 1 to 181, still well below the 670 plus figure that we witnessed prior to the pandemic, which in turn is still below what we had, the 880 plus figures we had back in 2018, which in turn is about half what we had, the 1600 plus figure back in 2014, prior to the start of the then oil price war. In terms of earnings, it's quite busy, because we've got the tech giants releasing their figures, and they're required to sort of justify the recent and in some cases record valuations, while simultaneously their tech CEOs are going to have to justify their market dominance before the House subcommittee. And also, when it comes to oil, we've got the big oil companies releasing their figures after what has been a brutal quarter. Be on the lookout overall for any updates when it comes to the US-China front as relations worsen following the consulate closures. You got coronavirus cases topping 16 million, and any updates on the fiscal stimulus front in the US as lawmakers attempt to reach another deal on a significant $1 trillion plus stimulus package.